In less than a month, millions of college students are going to be just like you with degrees in hand and no ways to monetize their education. It is a serious failing of the educational system to provide you with the abstract notions and theories, performance skills, and abilities, but no way to monetize that information and make a really good living unless corporate America or nonprofits or somebody comes knocking with a job offer and a salary attached to it. I hope I have your attention, because in about 20 days from now, you're going to be sitting in an auditorium or a convention center or a basketball arena or wherever, and somebody wearing a funny hat is going to get up in front of you and say, "Congratulations, graduates. Good job." And you're going to hear a commencement speech. It's an accomplishment. Do not get me wrong. I was exactly like you 1994, and again like you when I got my master's degree in communication in 1996. The problem being is now I had to go look for a job. I had the skills, but I didn't have the ability to actually translate those skills into some kind of living, and I couldn't really pursue my passion, which was communication and psychology, with just degrees. Welcome to Blueprint Your Passion for a Kick-Ass Life. I hope I got your attention. Let's go into a little bit of the issue. The problem being is that as a creative or a liberal arts student, I didn't have a pathway to become a millionaire. We didn't think that way. We weren't motivated by money. We were motivated mostly by service and good deeds. Why can't you have both? I believe I have a pathway that's going to get you there, and it's going to be a career pathway that you can use for the rest of your life. Let's look at some pathways that are out there now. When I was doing the research, Robert Downey Jr. was the name that came up with this one. Actor. If you're an actor, you could be at the top of your game making $80 million a year. The problem with that is there's only about 100 names that are in the $1 million range, and most of the rest of the actors out there are much, much less, with the beginning salary of about $5,000 a year. Athletes are the same way. Floyd Mayweather is the top grossing athlete when I did the research at $300 million a year. He's the top of the game, heavyweight fighter, all kinds of endorsements. And even for the guys that are going into pro football, basketball, baseball, etc., the numbers are severely reduced, and the pyramid gets really small at the top and the base spreads out. What are the rest of you supposed to do? Well, some of you may be setting up to be a physician or a surgeon. They make about $300,000 a year when they get out of school, and they've got about 12 years of advanced education to get there. So they're going to be compensated on the back end. An actuary, not one that most people know. This is the person or the skill level that is the statistician that computes how much it costs and what a life is worth, and their skills are highly valued. As you can see, it's like $250,000 a year. Software architect and software designers, software engineers, roughly in the same ballpark at $162,000 a year, but they got a lot of developers behind them or below them that they're giving direction to, and they're making the money while the developers are sitting in the hallways working on waterfall methods and doing code reviews. Product management director. This is a pretty high skill at $158,000 a year, where you take a product and you manage its introduction into society. Hopefully it's for the benefit of good, but it's definitely for the profit motive of the organization. $158,000 a year. Corporate lawyer. Okay, this one was a little bit hard to come up with, but if you're going into corporate law, you can expect to soon make $200,000 a year It gets much higher as you become a partner, but that's much later in the process. You more than likely are not going to be coming out of college with a degree in hand as the top partner in a big law firm. By the way, that could be $20 million a year or more. Investment bankers, okay, they are going to be set up for life when they get through the grind to create their client base and get their credibilities and their funds set up. $120,000 a year to start with, but that can multiply within about 3 to 5 years into very large sums of money. But they put in extremely large amount of hours on the front end to develop that client base and that credibility to sell people funds and stocks. Management consultant, more than likely coming out of undergraduate, you're not likely to get to this level of $100,000 a year. More than likely you're going to need to go to get your master's degree before they could let you go in front of clients and represent their firm as a management consultant. And frankly, you have to have degrees to open the doors before the clients trust you enough to be mucking around in their organization and provide solutions. Once again, pathway to millionaire. There's another pathway. How about selling product? We don't think, as a liberal arts guy, honestly, as a liberal arts guy, I don't think about myself as a product. But I'm here to tell you I am. Every time you're going through a resume or a job interview, you're selling yourself, and that makes you a product. Let's take ourselves as a product and start thinking about some of the stuff that we do out of our ordinary day and how we can monetize it. Monetize is to make money from the stuff that you know and put a value on it. So let's look at this a little bit. You're already seeing it on the screen. So monetize, this is the pathway to $1 million. You sell a $50 product to 20,000 people. Okay, that's a lot of people. You sell a $100 product to 10,000 people, that's more manageable. You sell a $200 product to 5,000 people. Once again, we're going down, as you can see how it's going. Then you sell a $1,000 product to 1,000 people. You sell a $2,000 product to 500 people. And sell a $4,000 product to 250 people. And you sell a $5,000 product to 200 people. Okay, the problem with liberal arts and creatives is, what do we know that's worth $5,000? Well, you gotta think differently than job offers. You really have to think differently, and that's what this whole course is about. I hope I have your attention, because we're about to break into some of the roles that happen within this that you can monetize and make really good money from as you build your tribe and eventually become at the top of the pyramid of the creative world within your field. See, this doesn't really be dependent on the firm that hires you. It's more dependent on how you proceed in your career path. And this is a total, from start to finish, student to senior level of person, and how you monetize your career path and make $1 million a year. It's not that hard when you start thinking about it. So let's dive into the roles that you're going to encounter on the pathway to becoming a millionaire. Begin while you're a student. I got to tell you, I went to a small liberal arts college in West Texas. That might not be the environment to do this. I really can't say that, because the opportunities are smaller. However, when you step up and you go to one of the larger universities to work on your master's degree, it doesn't really matter what your degree field is. When I got to Texas A&M, there was a service of master students who would attend courses and take notes and give those notes to the service to sell to the students that are taking the course. It's a subscription model. Okay, it's a subscription model that you could start yourself. On the other hand, if you're not into that and you don't want to sit there and listen to all the professors talk about courses you've already had, which is essentially what you're doing, you could become an impresario and a promoter. and promote events at local night spots to get kids to come to them, and charge the owner to do that. And I can tell you, while it's hard, I was a nightclub DJ for 13 years, it's hard work to create fun and get people there. When you go to a nightclub and there are a establishment, entertainment establishment, and they don't have any traffic, and you can promote traffic to them, they will pay you. They will pay you because they're going to pay in advertising fees to get traffic to keep the doors open anyway. So why not get skilled enough in the promotion business that all you do is set up events, show up, and leave. Not a whole lot of that there. Promotion, you should be able to make a good salary there while you're in school without a whole lot of time expended on it, because pretty soon your reputation within the community is going to spread, and nightclubs or restaurants or other venues of entertainment that are lacking crowds will seek you out. That's a key component in this whole process, because we have just went from scope with taking notes, which is really small, to promoting to a larger audience, which is really scale. So scope to scale, there's a huge component of that within this process, and we're going to talk about the next one. Always be monetizing. Always be monetizing your skills or your abilities or things that you can do to be making money. Now, I'm not talking about babysitting. I'm not talking about typing up term papers. I'm not talking about washing cars and painting houses and waiting tables and all the other traditional jobs that kids take whenever they're trying to fund their way through school. I'm talking make 10 times the money for one time of effort. That's scale. Okay, you get those concepts, you're going to hear it several times over. Interns. Okay, interns, you can be paid or unpaid. There's real government guidelines. So if you're going to be an intern and you think you can't charge people for what you know as an intern, as an unpaid intern or even a paid intern, let me give you a clue. Other interns would love to be able to connect with you. So you set up the subscription model for a community of interns, $5, $10 a month. You know, you can give coupons, you can give all this kind of stuff as affiliate marketing. $5, $10 a month for 10,000 people is $50,000 a month. Scale. Scale. Always be monetizing. And you can do this by telling people what it's like to be an intern, because most people don't know, and particularly the undergraduates at your university don't know what it's like to be an intern. What do you do on a day-to-day basis? Are you given responsibilities? Talk about what it's like. Now, you can't go around saying things like the federal government sucks and all that kind of stuff, because then it comes back at on your reputation, and that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about establishing credibility and reputation so that you gain status. Okay, at some level, when you have been an intern or at your job as a practitioner long enough, they're going to come to you and ask you to teach or train others. Scale. That you've now gone from sitting there as an individual contributor, which is what we call an individual contributor, to a teacher. And then you can start with really scale. You're going to learn what you're going to need to know as a teacher to start taking that and translating it out to your tribe, which is what we started building when you started your subscription model as a student and an intern. Your tribe doesn't know how to do what you know how to do, and you're going to teach them how to do it, and you're going to monetize that instead of giving it away for free. I hope that makes sense, because it backs it up. Always be monetizing. It doesn't mean for a lot, but it means that giving it away for free doesn't necessarily redound to what we're seeking, and I'll get to that later on, because there is an end goal in mind that will circumvent a whole lot of job searching, a whole lot of looking for income, and you will be able to making top dollar soon. Once you've taught, now you can coach. This is where people are trying to improve their skills. You've already learned how to do that. You've taught people how to do that. Now you've reached out and you're able to coach people on improving their skills. Once again, this is where you take it back narrow just a little bit. You're not going to have that many clients there, but you're going to be charging them more for what you know. Okay, so you want to think about scope and scale as an ongoing in and out process. Scope and scale is ongoing in and out, but every level of change between scope and scale is an increase in revenues, and you charge for it. Always be monetizing. Okay, after you finish the coach, there is the critic level, and this is where you come in and people, this is where people I think have a hard time. Critic has a negative connotation on it, so I'm going to take that while I'm using a common term for critic, I'm going to change it to critique. Where you come in and you look at what people have done and you critique it. This is a high level skill because it requires a lot of knowledge to be able to look at the model and look at the behaviors and put it back into context that they're doing this but they're not doing that, or they are doing this but they would be better if they were to do this instead. Critics should be able to make more money, and because it is, once again, scales coming in, you're going to have fewer clients, but you're going to charge more per project for being a critic. Always be monetizing. You heard me mention this one before. This is not one that most people think about when I mention the club promoter. This is one where you want to not think about the long term because it's event driven. Impresarios and club promoters, and in a lot of ways nightclub DJs, we're getting people there for one time only. Think about concerts that come to your town. They sell the tickets, they have the event, and then the concert is over and they start again with the next client or the next band or the next speaker or the next singer or the next creative process. This can apply to so many people. You're not the center of attention. You're the organizer. And that is worth money. And this is where scale really starts kicking in, because you want to increase the scale on the scope. The speaker provides the scope. They have the topic. You're going to provide the scale, which is going to go wide. And you're going to attract attention, and you're going to make really good money when you start thinking about that, is how you can scale that, and that's where the numbers start coming in, and you start really making a lot of money without a lot of time and effort. So this also applies to web subscription models where you build your own community. Impresarios, it's a little different than that, and it's part of the model, the entire model, but it's not a part of the presentation. But I want you to think about community managers are kind of like impresarios, because you're building your tribe and there's really nothing that you provide with value except the tribe. The rest of it, you can provide people who you can curate content, you can bring in speakers. You don't have to do it yourself. You're just the conduit to provide the content. Always be monetizing. Finally, in my model, at the top of the peak is the storyteller. You're going to see on screen one of the best storytellers out there in business, Mr. Steve Jobs. Mr. Steve Jobs was a billionaire. But there are other models out there too, because eventually you rise to the top and you start becoming the storyteller of how you did it and how you did it along the way, because people want to be able to follow you and follow your model. So you're going to be a role model and the storyteller, and you're going to share that information with others, and they are going to pay for either your product or that access to you as you train them on how you did it. Always be monetizing. I've kind of given it to you, and I do have a special offer. Being that you're graduating from college, You're coming out with degrees, and this is something I've identified. Most of the universities across the planet give you a degree, but they give you no knowledge of how to make money or earn a living or follow your passion, making money with that degree. And that's what this entire course is going to be about when you get to see it. This is telling you what the problem is. There is a solution. I've told you several of them already, but there are more. Now you have to decide, okay, he's selling me something. I am. I'm pitching to you something, and as a college student coming out of college, coming out of either high school or college that is directed at this, I'm going to make an offer for the cost of a bottle of wine today, tomorrow wealth. Tomorrow is loosely defined, and I'm estimating it'll take about 5 years, because you got to establish your credibility, you got to build your name within the tribe. But I'm telling you, as you do that, as you start off as a student, then become an intern, and particularly when you become a teacher, that's when scale kicks in, and from then on, you're going to be able to charge higher revenues per event. I guess that's the way I would say that. You might not drink wine. I'm not a wine drinker. Back in the day, I would drink beer. So essentially, for the same cost of a bottle of beer, roughly around $8, $9, $10, I'm also going to be teaching you how to do the pathway to millions using the monetize your passion. If you're a gamer, okay, for the cost of video game, same way. If you're a gamer, games cost around $50, $60. Well, this is a bargain. This is 1/5 of what a game cartridge is going to cost you, with the exception of the time that you're going to have to spend learning how to do this. And at the moment, I haven't recorded that, so I'm not able to tell you. And you will have a roadmap blueprint for the rest of your career, for the rest of your life, and you will be making millions before any of your cohorts or any of your colleagues or associates that are coming out of college now, because you're going to have an inside scoop on how to structure your career to get the greatest status gain. And that's what this is all about, status, or stature. What I should say is stature. Because as your stature grows, you're going to be able to get those millions tomorrow. People will seek you out. They will seek you out, and they will pay you to solve their pain point or their problem. That's what you're going to be promoting from the day you start putting together that subscription model of taking notes in freshman composition class and selling them all the way until you become a storyteller, is to get their stature high enough that people seek you out to come in and do problem solution or strategy. You could also go out there and think, okay, well, I don't drink beer, I don't drink wine, I'm not a gamer, but I'm a fashionista. Okay, for the cost of a new outfit, way less than the cost of a new outfit, which I have nothing to know, I have no way of knowing what that is, you can also monetize your passion for being a fashionista and maybe a fashion designer. But because of the creative work that you do, you're not going to fall into the fashion mill. You're going to be able to turn that into revenue. And like I said earlier, I think about 4 to 5 years, you should be able to be doing your own fashion show. I'm not going to say in New York City, but you could be doing it regionally when you have in mind that's the end. And then after you do your fashion show, the next level up after that is storytelling. And you start telling people how you do it. And that's the cost of tomorrow. Now, let me tell you, there's research out there that says you're not going to put up $10 now to gain $1 million then, because it's delayed gratification. There's lots of research out there, and one of my backgrounds is psychology, where they offered a kid a cookie, and if the kid could to defer the cookie, they would get 2 cookies. Well, there are lots of children who did not wait for the 2 cookies. They took the cookie right away and cheated themselves out of 2 cookies. for just a few more minutes of time. That's what I'm talking about now. And people are betting on you taking the cookie and not getting the 2 cookies. They are betting on you, and this is probably the time you're going to want to bounce out. So feel free. I've made my pitch. Try the course out. Well, I made the pitch with the exception of this. It's going to cost you $10. $10 for access to learning how to make millions of dollars with the stuff that you love without necessarily having to follow the corporate masters who are going to set you up as an incoming fresh out who has no real credibility within the organization. You got a huge learning curve because they didn't provide you with a lot of the things that you need to know from college or university. They gave you a lot of theory. And on the other side of that, as you go through the corporate structure, think about this. You're going to eventually, after being in the trenches for so long, there's a joke on a movie several years, for about 10 years you're going to make it to lieutenant, then you're going to make it to first lieutenant, then you're going to make it to captain, then you're going to make it to major, and on and on. Now, okay, that's a military structure. In the corporate world, you come in as a fresh hire, then you're going to make it as a supervisor, a manager, a director, and eventually you're going to be in the corporate suite, the C-suite. Okay, there's structures along the ways, and there's gatekeepers along the ways too. Instead of you taking charge of your own life and putting it into play and living the kick-ass life that I'm trying to promote here. Try out the course. It's going to cost you $10. You got 30 days. 30 days, you got a 30-day money guarantee. At the end of 30 days, if you completed the course, you're going to be able to sell the course to other friends, and you're going to monetize that. You will be able, as you spread the word around that this is a really good course, that you are able to gain from using the course and selling it to others. Now, I'm using $10 as an introductory offer. You got to go ahead and sign up today to be qualified to be able to be an affiliate on the back end when you finish the course. As you subscribe to the mailing list, you're going to get a discount code as being a member of the community that I'm building. I hope that wasn't too long for you. I hope you were able to follow through with all that. So that's my special offer. So you can either spend $10 today, or you can really search for jobs tomorrow. This is your choice.